Collins.
And I'm Carla Bullock.
And welcome and thank you for this opportunity to just ask you a few questions.
It's my pleasure.
All right.
And we also work closely with KPFT 90.1 FM and the Cherry Magazine. Okay. For those who don't know you, can you share with us where you were born and raised and what are your current career aspirations?
Absolutely. So I'm born and raised in Houston. I'm a native Houstonian. My parents were raised me on the north side of Houston, so it's a very similar story to my dad. And then I went off to college at the University of Texas in San Antonio, where I received a Bachelor's of Science in Biology, so I'm a nerd. It's okay. And then I came back home and I went to Texas Women's University, where I received a Master's in Healthcare Administration, so I'm a super nerd. And now I run a community health center on the southwest side of Houston called Be Busy Wellness Center. And so we are a federally qualified health center where we do pretty much preventative care. We want to be the patient's primary medical home.
You understand social media and how impactful it can be. How do you think we can use this to engage the younger generation and even achieve your goals?
Absolutely. I am a social media user. I am always on social media, and I think the beauty of it is it makes the world so much smaller. You can have conversations with people that you probably never thought that you could talk to. If you are an entrepreneur, you can test your product and get an immediate response. But I think the important part about using social media is to use it wisely. And so I always tell folks, you use social media, don't let social media use you. And you use it to narrate your own story. And so remember, what you put out there should be intentional. Don't ever just kind of use it haphazardly thinking that no one's watching, because we all know that's farthest from the truth. Everybody's watching, right? And it never goes away. Even for Snapchat users, they're like, oh, it goes away in 24 hours. No, it does not. It never goes away. And so we always want to make sure that we're wise about it. And so for me and my profession, I'm very strategic with social media. I feel like everything can be used strategically. And so I plan out my post. I pick and choose which events I'm going to share, how I'm going to share, what's the avenue that I'm going to use to talk about it, because I want to make sure that I'm smart and wise with it, and that I'm showing you the parts that I want you to see that are the most important so that people don't get caught up in something else.
So health is very, very important. And nowadays there's poor health education, there's STDs, and there's diabetes, and they're having a major impact on the youth. And we want to know what are your views and if there's unique ways to overcome media pressure and to help students through these issues.
It's so funny because a lot of times when you're young, you feel like you're invincible and nothing touches you. And we all know that that's simply not true. And so I think it's important for us to have the conversation and awareness and education and to say, hey, these things are real. Child diabetes is real. Child obesity is real. HIV is real. These things happen. They happen in our communities and they do touch millennials. And so we need to be aware of it, number one. We need to have, to me, very transparent conversations about the different mechanisms that we can use to prevent it. And then if it does touch your house, what can we do to make sure that you're healthy? But that takes a lot of communication. Minority communities, we tend to run from mental health or behavioral health, and that is something that we need to address because ADD it hits our households too. Autism, it hits our households too. Other kind of mental health disparities or mental health illnesses, they hit home. And so we want to make sure that as a community, we're supporting one another and giving everybody permission and the freedom to have these conversations that can be very hard and in the past very taboo. But it's so necessary. And nowadays with access to healthcare, with information, with people sharing things on social media, with more vehicles and mechanisms to spread the word, we really don't have an excuse anymore as to why conversations are not taking place in all neighborhoods.
What have you done that has improved Houston, or that you've done that is towards the road of improving Houston and engaging these younger generations?
I think my biggest pride and joy, of course, is healthcare. It's my thing. I have been blessed at a very young age to understand and identify what I believe is my purpose and my destiny. And I have been very fortunate to be able to walk in it. And my goal is to bring other millennials along with me on the road. And so what I tell to a lot of our younger folks, like students in middle school, elementary schools, I try to do as much mentoring and speaking engagements with them as I can, is that you're never too young to really walk in your purpose. There is no age limit in identifying who you are and what you represent. There is no age limit on the youth side, and there's no age limit when you're an elder. As long as you have breath in your body, I feel like you have a purpose on this earth. And so healthcare is my big thing. And then I've been blessed with representing Houston as the first daughter. And so that has given me the ability to see Houston in a completely different light, and probably to touch stuff that I normally wouldn't consider myself personally touching. In regards to just, I represent BARC, right? I sit on the advisory board there, and for me, I take a slightly different approach to it. For me, stray animals is a public health, it's an environmental risk. And so not only do we want to make sure that these animals are taken care of, but also these animals primarily are in minority areas that are underserved. And so that's not healthy. And so we want to make sure that these communities are sustainable, that they are represented. For the Super Bowl, we have a mural coming up. And so it's important that we adjust the arts and culture, and that every neighborhood can see themselves represented in all different ways.
So do you find it easier to complement the two with your goals of healthcare and engaging the younger generations?
I think so. Probably because I talk about healthcare wherever I go. To me, if you're not healthy, it's kind of hard to do everything else. If you're not healthy, it's kind of hard to keep a job, to make sure that you get where you need to be. If your body is constantly fighting against you, it's kind of hard to progress. And so for me, I always say, take care of yourself. Make sure that you're healthy, and then that allows you to be the mother, the husband, the parent, the child, the advocate, the activist, whatever it is that you want to be. At least that's one thing you don't have to worry about. And I preach to myself about that all the time. Like, actually slow down so that you can take care of yourself, so then you can go out and do whatever else that you need to do. And so I've learned to marry the two, with my community, being a community servant, and then also being this healthcare professional. I've learned to bring them both and kind of marry them together.
The younger generation has started to put themselves in the community, start to help people, and they want to get involved. What advice do you have for them to continue getting involved?
I always say that we all have a part to play, and it doesn't have to be glamorous, and it doesn't have to be upfront, but we can't do one without the other. And so, for instance, if I am going out and I'm volunteering, I don't necessarily need to be the person that's the spokesperson, because the spokesperson also needs someone to have one-on-one conversations with people. They need someone to help clean the streets and all these other good things. And so if you find your niche, if you find what you're good at and you just focus on that, and be transparent and be kind, the community will naturally respond to you. This world is super big, and so there's enough spots for everybody and everybody to participate. And a lot of times we have like those unspoken heroes that just do the work and nobody knows their name, but it's always done. Those are the folks that to me should be really heralded. And so find those unspoken heroes in your community and kind of see what they're doing and mirror that. And chances are, if you do it and you do it well, people are naturally going to applaud you, but don't necessarily do it for the applause. I think a lot of times we get caught up in who's looking and who's gonna say how great I am, but it really isn't about that. If you see a need and you do it, then applaud yourself, right? And then keep on doing the good work.
So what advice or recommendations can you give to students, millennials, or just the younger generation in total to sort of uplift them? Because a lot of us may feel just restricted because of our government or the bureaucracy. So what do you have to say about that?
Number one, always have a teachable spirit. I feel like if you're always open to learning, then no one can ever really limit you. Because a knowledgeable person is the strongest person in the room. Someone that's always open to life experiences, that's open to learning, that's open to understanding. That makes you less intolerant. It makes you kinder and a lot more compassionate, and that's something that government cannot limit. The government cannot limit my compassionate nature or your compassionate nature. The beauty of millennials is millennials tend to go at the beat of our own drum anyways. And so we don't really need somebody telling us what to do or what not to do, because we'll find a way to do it anyways, right? And so it's channeling that bold, vivacious, courageous nature, and marrying it with learning how to work with others, right? And that can be difficult for us because we do tend to do our own thing anyways, but it's, I'm speaking from experience. I'm one of those millennials and they're like, no, I'm like, I'll figure out a different way, it's okay. But in order to really be successful and to have our own foot and stamp, we have to be able to not only prove to ourselves that we can do it, but to prove it to everybody else. And so I always say just go for it. Don't listen to the naysayers. If you feel like it's really something that you want to do, come up with a plan, be strategic about it, talk to a few people, not everybody, and figure out a way to incorporate people in the plan as you go. And I always say talk to an elder, get a mentor, because we don't know it all. We haven't seen everything. Millennials, the beauty of a lot of millennials is we have a different start point. We're a lot more educated than generations before us. But generations before us have also seen things that we just have not been here long enough on the earth to experience. And so I say get a mentor, find an elder that you trust, and then just always go with your instincts. Our generation is so bold and we are so bright and we have so many resources literally at our finger. Like we have computers on our phones, like what, right? And so use that, but channel it in a good way. I think overall millennials are underestimated because they think we're egotistical because we take selfies all the time, which I do. But I think also at the core of who we are is a compassionate generation that really just wants to do some good work. And so as long as we stay very open-minded, I think the sky is really the limit for us.
So for those who may actually be insecure to have the mentors or have elders that allow or give them advice, are there any other ways, probably online, that they can be informed about?
Of course, well, we use social media all the time. So find someone on social media that you think is positive, that's doing what you want to do, and see how they do it. You can follow their journey. That's the beauty of social media. People are opening up their life to us, and we can kind of see how they're moving and interacting. And so do that. Find someone that you like and kind of follow their journey. Look up how, if you want to be in the healthcare arena, say a COO like me, you can find the steps on, okay, how does she get there? And don't be afraid to do the work because nothing is given to us. Nothing comes easy. Don't be afraid of failures. My parents personally taught me to never believe in failures. They say the only way that you fail is if you simply just don't try. So you might not get the result that you want, but did you learn something? Then that's not failing, that's success. And so don't be afraid to make a mistake. Don't be afraid to receive criticism, right? Not all criticism means that they hate you. It just means that sometimes they want to see you do a little better.